Welcome everyone to today's writing part 1 and email analysis. Before we start, I want to remind you about the tips and strategies guide which I will be using. If you'd like to look at the tips and strategies video, you can find that video in our CELPIP library in the writing section. Also, I will leave a link to the video in the description. That video will explain to you clearly the tips and strategies guide. For now, I will just be going through the guide page by page, and if you want to pause the video so you can read it, you can. The guide shows you about understanding the topic, the factors which influence your score in writing, ideas, vocabulary, the structure, sentence construction and grammar, and providing a complete response. Very important about email tone. Are we going to write an informal email, a semi-formal email, or a formal email? And then we have the structure that we can use for each one. Informal structure, semi-formal structure, and a formal structure. So let's get started with today's analysis. Okay, everyone, let's read today's email part 1 example. Email to work management. Okay, so something related to your management at work. Okay. A work-related policy recently changed at your job, and you think this affects you negatively. Write an email to your manager. Your email should say. Okay, so it looks like there's been a change at your job. Work-related policy could be about vacation pay, could be about overtime pay, can be about benefits, can be about hours worked, something related to some policy at work, scheduling, okay? That changed and you think it affects you negatively. Okay. So let's remember, first thing we need to decide is about email tone. Okay, we need to think here, is the tone of this email, is it informal, semi-formal, or formal? Well, we are writing to our management, and this situation I think is semi-formal, and the reason is because it's not, you may be familiar with the managers, you may know them, but at the same time, it is not they are not your friends. So that's why it would be more of semi-formal. So we're going to use the semi-formal structure. And let's remember the structure just gives you a guide of how we're going to write in paragraphing. And then it gives you here some ways that you can begin each paragraph, different forms for sequencing and structuring your answer. And that's the one I'm going to follow. Okay. And I already have it here set up, the structure. As you can see, I've already written into my board. So let's also remember that I'm going to be writing at a CLB 7 to 9 level. Okay. So I'm going to try to use stronger vocabulary or stronger expression and more words, of course, and stronger grammar forms. And I will illustrate those as I go. So with the greeting, let's start with that. So who you're writing, and this is going to be to management, right? Dear management, this is first name and last name. and I hope everything has been going well at the company these days. Okay, so that's how we're going to introduce. Remember, everyone, that I'm using color coordination to illustrate structure and grammar forms, and the black is just vocabulary specific for this topic, or it can change, okay? So now, why am I writing? Okay. I'm writing because I would like to express my dissatisfaction with the recent policy change to our hours of work. Hmm. So, some policy change in the hours of work. Now, we don't have to be clear about it here. That's probably what we're going to explain later in the paragraphs, okay? I'm assuming that's what it is. And also, I would like to express my dissatisfaction. That's a good word to use here. Okay, so nothing really strong yet, but definitely using would like to is the proper way to express it. Now, let's go to the first point. Connect to the first point. Okay, let's connect to the first point here. And the first point, to be clear, inform them how you feel about working at the company. So up to now, how do you feel about working at the company? Okay. Firstly, I have been working as a sales associate for the past 5 years. And during this time, I have always felt positive with my working conditions. Okay. So, important to note that we're using here present perfect continuous, describing the change during the past 5 years, so or the period of 5 years. During this time, we're using here present perfect. I've always felt. We can say I've here. We can also say have. Okay, and because this topic is related to working conditions, so that's why they're saying or writing about the working conditions. So let's add another idea about how you feel. Remember, this is about how you feel about working at the company. Maybe you can write about your colleagues, your coworkers, the management, your duties, the work you do. Let's see what we write here. Okay. Also, I have never really had any issues to deal with management, and I enjoy working with all my colleagues. Okay, again, there's so here it's mentioned that there haven't been any issues. I've never really had any issues. So no issues with management. Nothing that you had to deal with management. And I enjoy working with all my colleagues. Okay. So important to note, as I'm saying right now, that we have here a stronger sentence structure, longer sentence expressions, and stronger grammar, and that's always going to be higher. Okay, so now let's go to the second point. What is the second point? Explain the change in the policy and how it affects you. Okay, so something about the hours of work we mentioned here. So let's see here. What is the change? Okay. However, so we're making a transition from positive here to now a negative point. So, however, is good. However, I was quite shocked when I learned that the company was setting a limit to the number of hours worked per week. Okay, so now it expresses more clearly what is that change. They're setting a limit to the number of hours worked per week. Okay, so a limit. So you can't work over an amount. Doesn't have to be clear here. You could say 35 or 40. Okay, let's just mention that. And now we still need to say how this affects you negatively, right? How it affects you. We said the policy change and how it affects you. Okay, so let's see here. This means that I could not pick up any extra shifts, and therefore this will reduce my salary significantly. Okay. So it would reduce my salary significantly. Okay. Well, there's a limit in the number of hours. I can't pick up any extra shifts, so my salary is going to be reduced significantly. Okay, it's clear. All right. What about a third point? Let's see what the third point is. Suggest some alternative ways it can be changed. Okay, so how can we change it? Hours of work. Okay, let's see here. All right. Lastly, I would like to suggest that the new policy should apply to entry employees who have worked less than 1 year, but not to seniority staff as myself. Okay, all right. So you see, so this employee is saying if you want to change the hours worked, this new policy, then let's apply it or use it for entry employees who have worked less than 1 year. Okay, but not to seniority staff as myself. So you can see that um, 1 year could be an entry employee, but here was mentioned that this employee has been working for 5 years. So that would count as seniority staff. Seniority staff just means you've worked more at the company, more years, okay? So that's a good idea. And furthermore, perhaps you should survey all employees about how they feel towards this new working hours limit. Okay. So ask the employees, should survey, ask them all about how they feel towards this new working hours. So that would also be good. Get feedback. That would be something good to put in here as well. So you can get some feedback about, okay. All right. So two good ideas in here to suggest, okay. And now we're just going to get to the closing. We're going to say thank you, and we're going to write a signature, okay. Thank you for your attention, and I hope that management will take my request into consideration. Sincerely, your first name and last name. Okay, all right, and tell us how much it is. Oh, look at that, 191 words. Okay, that's actually a lot. Okay, remember that we don't want to go more than 200 words. And we don't want to be so low. I think for level 7s, 8s, 170 words, 160, 170. The word count is not that important. But if you could write 190 to 200 words, that's very important, or could be more important for level 9 or higher. Okay? The word count is very important for 9 or higher. 190 to 200 words. It's perfect for 9, 10, 11. Okay. Now, about this email exactly, I would say that as I said, for sure 7 or 8 and 9. Now, what makes it 9 exactly, 9 or higher? First of all, if you can write this email exactly how I've written it here, for sure, it's 9, 10, maybe 11. Now, I would say that 11 or 12, probably not, because we could use stronger vocabulary. I even mentioned here feedback. Maybe, for example, here. So you could get some feedback on the policy. You see, I added there 9. I added there 9 words to make it 200 exactly. And that could increase to 11, let's say. Let's remember that if you could write this one exactly as is, then you would get a high score, 10 or 11. What makes it that again is the completeness, not exactly just vocabulary, grammar. It's the complete email. Everything, every paragraph is clear. We leave a space. Okay, that's the first thing. It's complete. If we look about the factors that influence our score, just want to go through those quickly. Complete response, that's one factor. What about sentence construction and grammar? Well, first of all, we're not making any simple errors in punctuation, present, past, future, that's for sure. That makes it 7 for sure. If you don't make any simple errors and have a complete response and 160 words, that's CLB 7-8. Now, for higher than 8, like I would say 9, we need to have more higher level grammatical structures and sentence construction. Like we do here. Present perfect continuous, present perfect, lots of modalities, could not, would not. Was quite shocked when I learned, okay, this is a good sentence construction. You see how long the sentence is? And even here, I think we use some passive form. I'm not sure I saw it. What the company was, no past continuous. Okay. Should apply, okay, have worked, should. All these grammatical forms, they are modalities, present perfect continuous. These are the kind of grammatical forms you need for 9 or higher. And then what about email structure, tone, and look of your email? Yes, we've done that perfectly. That's meaning we have great paragraphing and sequencing. We have very good sequencing. That's what all the blue is for here. Okay, and the last one, of course, is ideas. Ideas and vocabulary. I wouldn't say that this vocabulary is what I would say is very high level, like 12. There are lots of stronger words, stronger expressions, if you can use expressions. That's what I'm saying, like this maybe 10, 11, I could, but again, most important is about the completeness, okay? The email is complete, and that will give you a higher score. Okay, let's practice by reading this email and by typing it. The more practice you do, The more reading and typing, the more that you will be able to get these ideas. Level 7 to 9 should understand everything in this email. Let's be clear about that. 7 to 9 understands everything that we've written today. So that means that you are level 7 to 9 if you understand everything. The problem is that level 7 to 9 may not be able to write this email exactly yet. So how do we improve? Let's type it out once, twice, 3 times. Let's read it to make sure that these ideas are part of our knowledge. Okay, everyone, thank you and have a wonderful day. I would like to remind you that if you're looking for some more listening, reading, writing, or speaking CELPIP exam practice, then you should definitely subscribe to our CELPIP library. The CELPIP library has hundreds of examples of listening, reading, writing, and speaking, which will help you develop your score, whatever the score you need. Also, the library contains vocabulary, listening skills, reading skills, grammar, and writing skills exercises, which will really help you improve your general understanding of English and also for the exam. So, and you can purchase a 1 month pass or a 2 month or a 3 month subscription for a very low price. And of course, if you really enjoyed this content, then please like this video, share it, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way we will keep on producing more CELPIP analysis for your development. Have a great day.